Hey guys, welcome back to Market Mastery. You're with your host, Trader Dax. Today, we're going to be covering off Bitcoin, what's going on with this banking crisis, what does it mean for cryptos? We're going to take a quick look at LDO, Litecoin, a few other alts as well, Ethereum as well. We're also going to be looking at the 2-year yield and DXY and tying it all together for you. So thanks a lot for tuning in. If you are liking our content, please leave a like or comment in the comment section. It really helps us grow the channel. Or if you really want to, please share this stuff with your friends that are also into markets and crypto. Okay, so what we're looking at here at the moment is BTC on the weekly time frame. And basically last week, what I was looking for is a close above this level here, this weekly order block, right? So basic order block theory, if you close above this level through here, right, we're expecting the market to bounce off that, right? And have an uptrend for the rest of the weekly. If we close below the order block, right, if we close anywhere below this level through here, then I would have been expecting this to continue to trend down. So that was a signal for me when this closed up here like that. Obviously very bullish, huge wick and rejection from trading below this level, right? Nice handy little swing failure pattern at this level too. And yeah, we've launched pretty hard so far, 20%, but it has had a decent pullback, which to be fair is kind of expected after a 33% rally. So I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest. If you follow me on Facebook, I sort of put up a bit of a negative post about the breakout through here. Because let's be honest, after a 200-day accumulation range, 275-day accumulation range, I should say, you don't really expect the breakout candle, if this is actually going to end up breaking out and we're going to bring an end to our accumulation range, it shouldn't be breaking out and leaving an SFP like this, right? Just shouldn't be happening. You should have a really strong breakout candle, something like this, right? If it's going to continue to the upside, right? So if we had something like that, then yeah, would have been expecting more continuation. Did sort of hit this daily order block, which is from way back here in the run up in 2020, December, right? And I think a lot of people just started taking profit at that point there when it started to pull back a little bit, and others just cashed in slowly and it just started selling off more and more. And then we're back below the range high, which is a pretty bearish signal, to be honest. But in my opinion, it's not too bad, because usually when you break out of a range, it takes a while to break out. Like, you push up into the range and then you chop sideways for a little while and then it breaks out. You don't usually just like from the middle of the range. Like this is the middle. This was below this is the mid range through here, right? This is way below the middle of the range. Just launches straight up. Like it's not how charts work. Like things can't just go straight up and then not come back, right? So, important to understand that this is most likely just people taking profit. I'm not completely sold that it's the end of the world because we faked out above the range here. This easily could just end up chopping around here for a little bit, putting a really nice bull flag, and then we finally do get that explosive breakout to upside like this, clear this order block above 26,500, and then that really opens up the pathway to hit that 30K mark. And then it'll probably chop around for a little bit, bull flag style. And then the target that I have, or a lot of people have, anyone that's been in the market for a while will have this target of 48K, and that is based on the 1.68 fib, right up through here. Sorry, this 0.618 Fibonacci level, and just the key swing high in the middle of the downtrend, right? So that makes the most sense for me, for that to be the target for this reaccumulation range. And then we'll probably chop sideways for a while, up to a year, have the halving, and then we move into the bull market, right? So for that to happen though, we need this strong breakout of this accumulation range, but I'm not ruling out the possibility of this failing here, right? Ends up rolling over. If it doesn't bounce off this order block through here, so this is a really nice cluster of support. It's the most nearest action to price as well. So I want to see this hold, and it'll probably be a bit close if it does happen. And that could give us the juice that we need to break out to upside as well, right? But if we lose that level, right, so it ends up chopping around and we break straight through it, come back up, bearish retest that on the underside of the monthly, then okay, we're back to the same levels. We want to see this level through here, this weekly hold, and then potentially the 2017 all-time high hold, right? And I think for this to break down, it's going to need some bearish price action in the stock market. So the key level to watch is this downtrend resistance line that has flipped into support, right? So multiple times, 5 times, 6 times throughout the entire bear market last year, it was rejecting price at this level. And then we finally broke out of it, and now it has been bouncing off it. Every time we get below this level, this trend line, there's a lot of buying. Like, you can see here, like every time we get below it, it just bounces back up. Usually in the New York session, it has been selling off in London, and it looks really bad. And then the New York Chads step in and they push it back up to try and save it, right? I think there's a bit of a I don't want to put too much of a conspiracy theory tin foil hat on, but I think there is a little bit of an angle at the moment from some of the bigger players in the banking industry to try and force the Fed's hand. And that's why I believe there was actually deliberate attack and coordinated attack on Silicon Valley Bank, because they wanted something to start breaking so the Federal Reserve would be forced to start to lower the pace at least, or put a pause on rate hikes, right? And also that triggered this massive sell-off in bond yields, because bonds are getting bought, right? So the percentage that you get paid out on those bonds is low because everybody's buying them, right? So basically, this big sell-off through here is usually a really strong sign that we're getting closer to the end of the bearish action in the market, right? And so the difference between the 10-year and the 2-year is actually starting to get closer. So we're having flattening of the yield curve, right? And the inversion's disappearing. So, once that inversion disappears, sometimes that is the next signal after the inversion disappears, because the Fed is, switching stances, the yield curve inversion disappears. And then after that, we actually get the final capitulation in the stock market, right? So for me to watch that, the key levels I'm looking for is for price to get back above this 200 daily moving average, which is the orange line through here. And I want to see this downtrend, right? I want to see the downtrend hold as support. If we lose that, right? And even if we just get below this blue line through here, right? If we lose that, and especially also this red box through here, right? Probably could tighten that up a bit, but that red box through there, that should be a demand zone. If we lose that, then that opens these downside targets, to make new lows, or at least, potentially double bottom down here, right? If we can hold price above here though, and on the lower time frames, especially the pattern that the stock market loves to put in is the 4-hour bullish divergence, right? Which we have been putting in through here, right? The 4-hour bull div at the bottom of the falling wedge, right? So we're getting that at the moment, right? And if this can chop its way across here and then finally get a breakout of this downtrend, that could give us the lift that we need in all markets, crypto, in stocks, and to push us up to, BTC, to help that get a little bit of wind in its sails to push up to 30K. So this is one of the things I'm watching for, a signal for a flip to back into a bullish market. If we can break out here and confirm this falling wedge, because the target 1 falling wedge would be 4,065, and target 2 is pretty much 4,170 till 4,200, which would be a really strong move, right? And I think that would give, enough wind in its sails for BTC to finally break out of this range that we're in and push up to 30K plus, right? But for that to happen, we're going to need a bullish FOMC next week. So a lot of pressure now, because you've got Credit Suisse on the brink of collapse, so many other banks failing as well. Everyone taking money out of the regional banks and moving it to JP Morgan. Basically, and Goldman Sachs. So basically, the Fed's under a lot of pressure at FOMC, which is next, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. So let me have a quick look. On the 22nd, it's next Wednesday, FOMC. If they pause, this potentially could give us a rally, and we might not see the final capitulation. So we could see a holding of this level through here, right? We're not breaking out. Good FOMC. We rally, maybe come back up to test this level here. Everyone gets super bullish. Then earnings start to fail. Unemployment starts to take off in the middle of the year, and we end up rolling back over, and we get the final capitulation because, the economy starts really feeling the effects. We're starting to see things breaking at the moment. So you need to be a little bit aware, but I'm not, I always think about the game theory of what's happening in the market and the bigger players. And, everyone was freaking out because, the financial system was collapsing. Okay, the Fed came out, they said they're going to backstop everyone's deposits. Sweet. So that is the trigger, basically, that there's a bailout coming. And basically everybody's shorting through here, right? Everyone's shorting like crazy through here. Right, this whole area through here, everyone's shorting, expecting price to, to go down and, consolidate down here. So they're expecting to get profits out of trading the market to the downside with put options and shorts, right? And so the bigger players, they're understanding that they're probably going to try and put pressure on and push prices to the upside and liquidate all the short stops and liquidations and push options out of the money as well, right? So then they have to cover, and that helps push the market to the upside. And then when everyone gets really bullish, then, they flip, they turn the algo, the down algo back on, and it rolls back over. And that will probably coincide along with, poor earnings performances and stuff like that, which we're already starting to see. Apple actually just had its first underperformance of earnings that it's had, I think in a couple of years, right? So that's not really a good sign. And so, usually when earnings start to get bad, then unemployment takes off. That's when we get the final capitulation because the real recession hits. Potentially, we are going to avoid that. But how do we just, try to block all that out because hasn't happened yet? Need to be aware that it could happen, but blocking it all out and just focusing on the charts. If this level holds through here, then expecting upside. That's pretty much it. If this level breaks to the downside, that really does open up, the potential for the capitulation to start and things to really start to break down. And then, the levels that I'm looking for, as we said before, are down in this green box. Okay. BTC on the lower time frames. Right, we're expecting this order block through here to hold. The other order block as well, which I'm looking at, is this 4-hour one through here, and price is holding this really nicely. Right, we can look through here, all of these wicks to the downside. Every time we come into this demand zone through here, we're getting buying action. We're seeing buying action. We're seeing buying action. Okay, and basically what we're getting is this morning star reversal, and it's a nice strong bullish engulfing one at the moment as well. So potentially what we're going to see is a push back up here and price to move around for a little bit, maybe even get some sort of like a bull flag pennant through here, or reaccumulation range just building up before we can make the final push later on this week, or even potentially early next week, before or after FOMC. Okay, so that is the other potential if we continue to hold. So just took a little bit of a long in here earlier, expecting this to bounce on the lower time frames because we had the breakout of this downtrend through here, right? So price was sort of holding up through our order block through there and on top of the highest weekly close, right? And now we're sort of expecting price to push up and maybe hit the range high again, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I have explained, the potential for this to chop sideways for a little bit longer and then finally get the breakout instead of just the rejection that we got through here. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a really strong breakout that probably gets a candle close in the daily time frame above here. On the weekly time frame, we want to see a weekly close. Right, the same way as we want to see a weekly close above this level, we want to see a weekly close above basically 24,300, right? A weekly close above 24,300 opens up more upside for the weekly. If we close below 23,400, it sort of puts us on edge a little bit for, a potential rollover and pullback. And then, this needs to consolidate a little bit longer before we finally break out of our range, right? The final thing I wanted to look at, a few altcoins, right? Just picked up a little bit of LDO back here. Basically, had a really strong push, and then I think it just pulled back too far, right? So just buy the dip, 26% pretty much in 1 day pullback. That was just a little bit too much unnecessarily. Right, we had a lot of coins selling off basically overnight when Credit Suisse started, not looking very good. So I think, we're going to get a decent bounce. Like Magic is already up 10% today. Seems to be a bit of a leader, that coin. It just moves so aggressively. And yeah, anyway, Litecoin, right? We had this head and shoulders pattern through here, broke below the neckline, right? That was an easy short in here and also back here on the retest. Not the easiest short on the retest, but anytime you get like a massive move into a key level, usually that is probably going to reject it, right? And then it'll take a little bit of time to finally come back up and get through it. Right, it's like the freight train, and you have the immovable object. It just goes straight into the concrete wall, and it doesn't go through it. Usually if you have a key level and price like is pushing into a little bit, people will slowly remove their orders. So it's more likely to break through if price is moving into it slowly rather than super fast, because more people are going to take profit at that level as well. Same thing on what happened in BTC. It just came from too far down. So anyway, this is the pullback 50 at the 50 Fibonacci level, right? From the measured move from here to here. And then we've got our 4-hour order block in there. So not a bad level through here for Litecoin. I think it could push back up, put in some sort of a bull flag here. And then the trigger for this to get, a strong rally would be a reclaim of the head and shoulders, right? Whenever you see like a head and shoulders pattern like this, it gets reclaimed. That's extremely bullish. So obviously this is going to need a lot happening with the stock market bouncing and stuff like that in BTC as well. And a reclaim this level, I would think that, that really opens it up to go on its final bull run and push to, about 160 into its final rally into its halving, because it does have its halving in August this year. And usually it tops out a couple of months before that. So that could basically give us a few months here, 3 months maybe of rallying really strong in LTC before it runs out of steam. Okay, guys, a quickly look at Ethereum. Not looking great at the moment versus BTC. I think that's because, you've got Shanghai coming out soon and people are going to be able to unlock their coins and sell them. So there's a little bit more supply pressure through here at the moment, rejecting from the key level that's been running through here for almost 2 years, right? So the short signal was when we rejected the SFP up here, right? Anyway, Ethereum is looking a little bit more bearish. And I do think it does have potential to push up to 20K again, but it's going to take some time. Sorry, 20K, 2000. I think it's going to take some time to get up there. But basically, it's the measured move on this last sort of move here, the one-to-one extension. So if we do get a breakout of this bull flag back above 1,775, then the target is definitely around this 2,000 area. That's where I will be looking to take profit on any Ethereum longs like get into here, right? But at the moment, it's sort of similar to BTC. Did have a bit of a bigger pullback, but we're sort of already in that order block. BTC is hanging around up here. We've already come back into this order block through here. And just sort of sitting on the our golden Fibonacci zone. So I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up getting a bit of a rally in through here, and then we get either a Adam and Eve top on it and it breaks to the downside, or we get some sort of a bull flag type action and when we finally get a rally out of it. And that will be with BTC pushing to the upside as well and stocks getting saved. Okay, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. We'll see you all in the next session.